And here we go. Okay, hi guys, nice to meet you all. Hi. Can everyone hear me and see me? Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Thank you. Hello. Hi guys. Nice to see you all. Thank you so much. Today we're gonna talk with Nazima, who studies in Columbia University. She will share a lot of valuable information today. I guess English is very fine for each of you, and English is fine for Nazima as well, and that's why we are gonna hold our webinar in English. And I would love you to be very active, proactive. Please write down your questions to Nazima in the chat so that we can hear all of you guys. I hope everyone is here. Nazima, you can start right now. Thank you.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Nazima. I live in Chicago, Illinois currently. I have applied for a number of universities, and probably as each of you also wanted to study abroad. So right now I'm a Columbia graduate student. I will start actually my summer semester next week. So yeah, I'm studying master's degree in public administration. So I'm mostly connected with policy making. So yeah.
So you're studying public administration, right?
Yeah.
That's great. I have some questions because Columbia University is located in New York, but you're saying that you are in Chicago, Illinois. How do you how do you manage the locations and all that?
It's really hard to manage because my husband lives, like our family lives here, and job, everything is here, and I need to be back and forth all the time these days.
That's great. I see. So you're gonna have to be like wandering around in different states.
Yeah. But
all
it's
the
not
way.
difficult because it's just a 2.5 hour flight from Chicago to New York and back.
So 5 days in a week you are in New York and 2 days you're back in Chicago, or how do you manage that?
I wouldn't say so. Mostly like 2 weeks I'm there, 2 weeks I'm here. But if there are exam season, then I'm mostly there. Like for months,
Wow.
for months and a half, I might be there.
Thank you. I just want to introduce our group here. We are TNT Progress team. There are my students who purchased my full mentorship services, and also my course about how to apply to US universities. And most of the questions are going to be about how to do a great personal branding, how to do the extracurricular activities to get into universities in the top universities, and also there are going to be questions about how to participate in the international conferences like MUN and all that. And I hope you're going to share all your experience, and we are really, really excited about you because we have seen your CV, and it's I mean, like, it's impressive. We loved it. And especially we were working on how to write the right format of the CV, and your CV was like the best one of it, because my students were asking how to get into Harvard University, how to get into top universities like Ivy Leagues, and they are so passionate about it. And every time when they say I want to go to Ivy League universities, I'm like, okay, so let's think about it. Are you eligible? Are you available? Or are you ready to apply to these universities? And you're going to be the live example of the one who can teach us and share your experience and knowledge, and I'm all about that. And my first question would be about how many universities did you apply to get when you were applying to the universities, for graduate universities?
Yeah, that might sound a little surprising, but I applied only for 2 universities. One was Harvard and one was Columbia.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Like from my childhood, I had a dream to study at Columbia. I had a mentor from very early ages who taught me English. He was also a graduate of Columbia University. So like a lot of the times, like in our lessons, he would share how he would study there, how it was like, what his job was like. So he would share everything about it, show us the pictures of the libraries and everything in New York. And it kind of stick to me, I think. And a lot of my efforts during bachelor's years were probably mostly focused on the end goal, like going for a master's degree and studying at Columbia. Yeah, so I applied. Actually, I applied 1 year later. Like I studied at Diplomacy University, and our studies used to be 5 years. So it's like
Wow. Yeah.
1 year before you graduate, you start filling out the application. And once we started September, of our fourth year, they announced that it's going to be 4-year studies. So
Wow.
this year was canceled. So everyone was shocked. We didn't have any exam results ready, and I decided to postpone to 1 more year, because usually if you want to apply to Ivy League, and especially if you want to apply for scholarships, I'm not sure whether the deadlines changed or not, but if you, for example, want to apply for 2023, I mean, yeah, for coming next year, 2023, you have to submit your application by October or November 2022.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a year ahead, like if you want to apply for early deadline, and then be considerate for scholarships, like have a chance to later on get scholarships. So yeah, I postponed it for 1 year, and then I applied to both these universities. I had my IELTS results ready. Like I took IELTS before applying, before entering the bachelor's, and then I received the notice that this doesn't work, that I need to retake IELTS. This was, I think, in January. And Columbia actually allowed me to, even though the deadline passed and I already submitted my application, they reached out to me, and they were quite supportive, I would say. And they allowed me to take it and send it, like if I can take exam in the forthcoming 2-3 weeks. They said that the consideration of applications is still going on, and yeah, I took it. Like it was already much easier to take. You just register for the closest date. Before, when I got my IELTS for the first time, it was not that easy. We only had British Council and we only had paper-based, and then you wait for 14 days. I think 14 days to get the results. But this time it it was digital, like internet-based everything, and then you get your results in 5 days or so. So I just went for that one. And then
so you've mentioned I'm sorry to interrupt you. So you've mentioned that you had a mentor, and so if I'm guessing right, you started your preparation to Ivy League universities since bachelor years. How many years did it take, like the overall preparation for Ivy League?
I wouldn't say that it was fully like 4 years only preparing for Columbia, but I would say most of my activity was kind of intended to get something useful into my resume and get more open-minded, like participate more in international conferences. So I would say that participating in ambience and international conferences is a really good start and really good thing to put into your resume because it's very important.
Awesome. Because, students come to me even in the 11th grade or sometimes after getting their bachelor's degree. And when I tell them about how to get into Ivy League universities, they are going to be so disappointed because their GPAs are already very bad and they cannot change it at all after the graduation, and they will be stuck in their minds about how to get into the top universities in the US. And that's so great that you've started your preparations very early on. And that's what I keep talking to my students. Everyone here knows about it, that US students, even the US students, I mean, in the US, parents tend to prepare their children since their childhood. They make their children go somewhere else, like going to sports clubs, conferences, contests, and everything. And it's so like overwhelming sometimes, but you did a very great job. And I want to know, did Harvard take you, and how was the application itself? Like your motivation letters and recommendation letters, what did you write in your recommendation letters? That would be really interesting for us.
Yeah, actually, my Harvard application was not considered because they told me that my IELTS was expired. IELTS results were expired. So yeah, I went with the only choice that I had. So with Columbia, so kinda it was it was destiny or something. Yeah, so I went for Columbia application. I was pretty upset for the Harvard application because each university has their own essay limits, so motivational letter word limits, and for Columbia it was pretty limited, like 300 words for one motivational letter. That's really short to say something inspiring, to describe everything you wanted to describe. But for Harvard it wasn't like that. They gave the opportunity like to say everything you want to say in your letter.
Yeah,
And
they are
I was
so
kind of
flexible.
yeah, they were more flexible in that in those terms. They had more questions like for each specific issue. I mean, each specific issue that you would like to describe in your life. So I would say I was counting more on my motivational letter for Harvard because it was more detailed. But yeah, because of the, I think because of the stricter um, application process. Yeah, my application was not considered because
Yeah, I
of the
see.
IELTS score. It's fine.
I love Columbia University itself. I am more into Chicago University and Columbia University rather than in Harvard. And though I have students who are so into Harvard University, Stanford universities, and all that, and I'm really wondering, how could you manage 300 words, and what exactly could you write in these 300 words?
I would say you're right. I mean, there are specific questions. I cannot tell you exactly what specific to write right now. Like, there is probably only one question about your personal experience, something that changed your life. These questions keep changing, I would say, every year. I don't think they are the same, but like there are some specific questions regarding why you're choosing precisely one or another sphere of the university, and one more question about something personal you can share, something that changed your life, maybe. Like they want to look into personality, I would say, mostly. because your scores and GPA and then the like diplomas, whatever you want to submit in your resume with your resume, that will show you your academic performance. And when they look into essays, they want to see more of your personality, whether you're a good fit for them. And they look into the variety of they want to make the class as diverse as possible, so they will look into different types of people. And it doesn't matter, I mean, it doesn't necessarily, the personal experience is always different for everyone, and everyone is different. So it's like they don't look for particular something, but they just look for something something different, some personality that they can explore, they can develop. I mean, they can guide when you're studying there. So I would say they are pretty specific, but it will take some time. I mean, if any of your students is applying to the university, I would say they have to take some time to just explore what they can answer to the questions. Because writing an essay is like one day thing, and then one day you revise it, and that's all. But what exactly you want to put into it, that's the problem, and that will take a lot of your time.
Exactly. I keep saying to my students that essay, people keep asking me like, can you share some examples of essays? And I can show you, but at the end, you're not going to be the one, like it's going to be different. You have your own story. Everyone should have their own story, and you should share your own story there as well. And that's why it's very, very important for me as well. But in my cases, I have written my motivational letters like 10,000 times, and I've rewritten it, and it took so many days. But at the end, you are right. You have to know what to write in the essay, and they also check your ability to write, right? I mean, they want to check if you can write, because in the academic field, you have to write a lot of paperwork, and they want to know if you can write or not. And I have a question for you. Did you ask someone else to check your essays, and who was that?
Actually, no one checked my essay. It's like when you're a student at the university, you might share with some friends, but then I was already working, and then work, and then applying for university, everything together. You kind of have to do it in a hustle. And then I don't know, there wasn't anyone in particular to share the essay with. I think you can share it with. I think I probably shared it with my sister, because when you write something personal, I'm not sure whether. I mean, it depends on the content, what you're writing about, and some people are comfortable with their friend's opinion. In my case, I'm always comfortable with my sister's opinion, and she doesn't understand English, but I would translate it to her. I just wanted to make sure that the meaning is something that might be liked by others. So yeah, I think as I recall, I usually share important essays with my sister, so I think I shared it with her as well.
Yeah, you're so right. The content, if it's very like intriguing, or it's when it's very personal, you don't want to show it to someone else just because you are so shy and you don't want to share your personal life and so on. And you mentioned that you've chose to apply to only 2 universities, but I think it's too risky, because you don't know if they will get you the acceptance, even though you've applied for early action. You don't know like There are so many other choices that you can make, but you've chosen only these two universities. But in my case, for my students, I usually give an advice to apply to 6 universities when you're applying to graduate universities. And we applied to 2 dream universities, 2 target universities, and 2 also the rich universities, so that we are sure that this year we're going to go no matter what, we're accepted or not, and all that. And in your case, what made you so sure that you will get accepted to this university? How much was your GPA, and how much was your GMAT if you took it, and how much was your IELTS when you took it after the application?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I made a mistake applying only for 2 universities. Of course, I wasn't sure that I would get accepted. No one is sure that they would get accepted. It's just you apply, and if you get accepted, you get accepted. If not, then you wait and apply for another university. I would say that your point is right. I came to US, lived here for a year and a half already, and now I see a lot of good universities. They don't necessarily need to be a part of Ivy League. I have a lot of friends who study at other universities, and they have great education, even though the tuition fee is not that high. Like, there are a lot of scholarships for international students available. I would say that applying for Columbia was a lot of stress. And right now I understand that I think it's worth it. I don't know, if you study at this university and you're content with everything, it's worth it. But then it's a lot of stress indeed. If you apply for several universities, I think it would alleviate a little bit of your burden. And you should consider looking into other universities. Like, I would suggest you guys to research and not only look at those shiny universities, which are which are old, and then they have a lot of respect, but you can look into other universities as well. First, you need to kind of make yourself a target. What do you want after that university? Because you can Google and see like how much a student earns after graduating one or another university. And I mean, it depends on your goal. I would say mostly don't focus on getting into university as a goal, but what you will do after graduating the university. So that's the most important question to answer first. Because once I entered it, there was a lot of hesitation, what I will do after that, where I want to go. I didn't probably have a chance or didn't ask myself these questions before I entered the university. And then for a while, I was going from one thing to another. I like this thing, and then I like that thing. But then it was a little bit of pressure to put my mind into one thing and then go with that. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah.
And how much was your GPA and your scores from the exams?
I took GRE and GMAT and IELTS. GPA,
Wow.
I think GPA was like I don't know about international universities in Uzbekistan, but at diplomacy university, like if you study well, you do everything as requested, you get a good score. So I think I had good GPA. I would say higher than 3.6. I didn't have anything less than 86%, as in our Uzbek terms.
Oh, I
So
see. So it's 86%. So all of your grades were A's, right? I mean, 86 plus.
there were some B's as well. Yeah, there were
Oh,
some
some
B's
B's.
as well. Yeah, maybe a couple of B's were present there. Yeah. I would say.
Wow.
Might be 6. Yeah, up to 6, I would say.
Yeah, that's great because I also had the same result from my GPA, and I was like thinking if I am available to apply for Columbia or University of Chicago. Now I was like, oh, maybe I can try, right?
Yeah, you can try. I mean, it might. I'm not sure how the evaluation process goes, but I would say everyone who applies has a good GPA. So
Yeah, I understand.
kind of levels out
Um,
your skills with others.
yeah, exactly. How about GRE and GMAT and IELTS?
For GMAT, I got 680 or 70, probably 670, and then I canceled the score. Right now, I really regret why I canceled that score, because once you finish the GMAT, you get the result, and then you can either cancel the result on the spot, or you can take it and you will have at the record, and it will be in international record that you took GMAT, and then you have the score. So
Wow.
I kind of canceled it. I'm not sure why I did that. I didn't consider
So,
it a good score at that time.
so you
Mm.
had 600 out of 800, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How about GRE?
GRE, I think there are 2 scores, one for math and one for English. I mean, not English, quantitative, and second one was, I don't exactly remember right now. 154, I think. One was 154, one was 152. It's out of 170. Like, out of 174, quantitative was 152, and for English it was 154. So yeah.
So it was about 310 about that, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And
Yeah, that's
and then
awesome.
there was, yeah, and the writing was pretty good. Yeah, there was another part which was writing only. Like, I didn't prepare for GRE for a long time, because as I told you, once you finish from university, you don't have a lot of time for academic focus if you are working. So it was kind of in between preparation, because it was a must. But right now, I would say that most of the universities are removing this requirement to take GRE or GMAT. So I would say you can look into it. Not all universities requiring GRE or GMAT, because it's quite a challenging exam, even if your English is good enough. So yeah.
Yeah, I understand. And I have some students here who are preparing for GMAT and both for GRE as well. Most of them are applying for MBA, and for some of them are applying for PhD even. And I'm recommending them to take those exams because it's very hard to get into the Ivy League if you don't have those exams. Because I know that there is a lot of I mean, a lot of students who are applying, and the acceptance rate is very, very low. So to cover everything that you have, like if their GPA is very low, I recommend them to cover this low GPA with a high score in these exams. And yeah, I think you did a great job, because even having 600 from GMAT is very, very, very hard. I know that. And I'm very, very impressed with your results. And right now, I would like to ask you about the extracurricular activities that you did to get into Ivy League universities.
There are a lot of things that we did, but mostly I would say participated in international conferences, went for volunteering. Yeah, mostly that, I would say. Like, they want to look into, most universities want to see leaders, right? And they want you to list some activities where you could show your leadership. So I would say that students need to explore their leadership skills while they are studying bachelor's degree. It doesn't need to be an international event, but I think they have to be involved with in organizing some events, maybe trying to explore their abilities, not only from academic perspective, because as I told you, your academic scores are already going to show your academic skills, and they want to look in particular into your leadership skills, your communication skills. So these are very important too.
Yeah, exactly. I have seen your countries that you have visited, and all of them about conferences, right? I mean, Germany, Austria, Poland, Belarus, Russia, USA. She was in Harvard conference. I mean, in the HBR, right?
Mhm.
And United Arab Emirates, Kazakhstan, and Nepal, and all of them are in international conferences. Guys, I want you to know that you have to also take a look at the CV. If you haven't, please do, because there is so many experiences that she has during her bachelor's degree, and you started, as I see, from 2016 and so on. You, for in 4 years, you've taken all these international experiences, right?
Yeah. Uh, I had like I took IELTS before entering university. I think if guys are applying for, I mean, they're students of Westminster or Singapore University, I mean, any international university in our country, then they don't have any issue with the language, and they can apply for a lot of universities. And while I was at school, I mean, while I was studying my bachelor's degree, I never went for any conference without scholarship, because there are a lot of scholarship for students available, and they can find them right now easily. There are so many websites right now. I see that there are websites in Uzbek language as well, like I think some telegram channels. So there are a lot of right now resources to explore. It's just good for a person himself. First of all, he will practice his English. Secondly, he will get to know a lot of stories. When I was at Harvard, I was amazed because each person who came to that conference, they had some kind of story of their own. And that was amazing. Like, even if you get to know 10 people, those 10 people have 10 different backgrounds, 10 different stories. Some of them created robots, some of them struggled with financial difficulties, and it's really amazing how hard they tried. I mean, to go somewhere, to be something, and it gives a lot of motivation. I mean, motivation to study, motivation to do more, like to develop more. So I would definitely recommend, if you guys have a good command of English, then you gotta go for it and research and try to apply for at least 2-3 conferences a year. And if it's fully covered and everything else, I mean, visa things are working out for you, then why not? Like, why not get that experience? It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to share here with my students about your experiences in international conferences. She has participated in International Everest MUN in Kathmandu. Um, Scholarship winner of the Central Asian Youth Network 2019, HPAIR 2019, Kamalat Stipend 2017 of the Youth Social Movement in Uzbekistan. Also, International Day of Interpreters, right? And Sustainable Development of the World devoted to Eco Week in Tashkent. So, and also the Young Leaders Development Project in Uzbekistan. Republican Olympiads and also Republican Olympiad first place and regional Olympiads in English. And she has also IELTS band 8. That is really impressive. I can imagine how the committee looked at your CV and they were like, wow, impressed. We have to take these students with no any doubt. And I would like to also know about the scholarship amount that you have won and how much are you paying right now, or aren't you paying at all? Or these the details would be really interesting for everyone.
So I was supported on part of scholarship from my workplace. So Ministry of Finance is a big part in getting a scholarship because they help to get some part of the scholarship as a from a charitable organization. Some part came from the foundation, which is Eliurtumid Foundation right now. And like my working place, like the people who worked with me, they made it real. So yeah, I'm really grateful to them for their contribution.
Nice. I'm also an El Yurtumi Foundation alumni. I've studied in Webster University in Tashkent for 1 year. And I would like to know, did the university itself give you some scholarships to study?
No, actually they didn't, because scholarships are a little difficult, especially with Ivy League, because like our country is not considered low income country, but we are not considered, I mean, high income countries, and they want to look into this is either need based or they looked at something particularly different, probably, to give a scholarship. And the scholarships that I had, like the options for scholarship, they are not that big. So it might be 10-15,000 per semester, but it's really not enough, even not half of the tuition, actually. But what about your living expenses? It's really expensive to live in New York. I mean, it depends, but I'm not sure about Harvard, because you don't apply for scholarships until there is an opening for scholarships. Like after you submit your application, because you submit your application separately, then you wait for January, I think it was January, when the scholarships has got available. And then from January, you can start applying. I think there were only 2 or 3 options within university available, and they were not, like, some of them were not even a good match for me. Like the description, what kind of student they wanted, it wasn't a match for me at all. So I would say that scholarship thing is a little tight. So you should consider external scholarships. There were some scholarships available from World Bank, but then they required 5 years work experience, and it wasn't a good match for me either, because I cannot prove that I have 5 years full-time experience, especially taking into account that I graduated in 2015, and then I only have kind of 2019, and I have a couple of years in between university and my application. So it wasn't a very good match for me either. So I don't know, might be I didn't research well, but whatever I could find at that period, like in January, maybe I needed to look into scholarships even earlier than I started Columbia application. So it basically depends, but it's really tight with Ivy League. You gotta make sure that you have some funds of your own, because it's really difficult um, to believe that you will get full scholarship. They can
Yeah,
also look
exactly.
to Fulbright, I think,
Yeah.
Fulbright application, which is even earlier than application to university. But Fulbright also has limited resources, and and I'm not sure whether they cover Ivy League university tuitions, because they take full responsibility to pay all of your tuition fees, your insurance, your living expenses. So yeah.
Yeah, I understand, especially about the external grants and external scholarships are mostly for countries like India or some countries in Africa or some countries of Asia. So sorry, I'm back.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, what I was saying, yeah, external scholarships are available only for countries like India and some countries of Africa and all that. But for Uzbekistan and especially for countries of Central Asia, there was so almost no any external scholarships, right? And it's so difficult for us because there are a lot of scholarships for European students, and
Yes,
UK
that's right.
consider any other any other students apart from their own UK students or Europe. So it's so difficult for students of Uzbekistan to find out the best full scholarships available. But you were so lucky actually with Yurtdemede Foundation and Ministry of Finance. I'm so happy that they have supported you in the right time. Because it would be very, very difficult to fund your tuition because it's very high, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
how much does
Right.
it cost? $1,000, $60,000, or how much?
Yeah. Do you want me to be
Yeah, you can.
detailing the expenses? Yeah, I
Can
think
you
it's
share with us, please?
I think it's 33K per semester. It's only tuition.
Wow, wow, that is a lot.
It's quite a lot. Yeah, for
Really a
our
lot.
country, it's a lot.
Yeah, I understand because there are some other expenses as well. I mean, studying, living in the dormitory, and you have your food expenses and you have your own expenses maybe.
Yeah,
You're
living
all
expenses are gonna be almost same
yeah,
as
really?
tuition fees. Yeah, it's not easy to. I mean, it's not cheap to live
Yeah.
in.
To live in the US, it's very difficult. I understand what you mean. And I have some questions about MUN. There are my students who have already been to some MUN conferences online and offline. Two of my students have participated in MUN in Abu Dhabi, which was held in New York University in Abu Dhabi. They got a lot of experiences, but they already also have some questions about MUN, about the processes, because they have seen some problems there and about themselves, I mean. And they would like to know your expertise about the MUN conferences because they are very new about it. And I would like to read some of their questions here. And how to find the different events in the international MUN conferences. What resources do you use to find these MUN conferences? Because we couldn't find any one like portal or like an organization that shares all the MUN conferences. You have to check in everywhere for MUN conferences, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, there are some websites where you can check only MUNs. I mean, international MUNs are available in some of the websites. I might share it after. I mean, I can share it if your students need after the call.
Yeah,
But,
thank you so much. That would be really, really, really useful for my students.
Yeah, sure.
And how much of impact did you have? Did MUN provide you for your acceptance?
I mean, I don't know that. I probably can't answer that question because I don't know how the decision process goes. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know how the admission process goes still.
yeah, it's right, exactly. And did you pay for MUN conferences at all, like to any of them?
No, when you're a student, especially at bachelor's, your finances are pretty tight, and I don't think there are many students who can cover full price of going to any international conferences. So I tried mostly at least 50-60% that the conference will be paid. Uh,
So the rest
so
you paid yourself, right?
I wouldn't say that mostly for MUN conference. I mean, I participated only in one international MUN conference, which was in Kathmandu, Nepal, and it was fully sponsored by U.S. Embassy. So
Wow.
yeah, I didn't. I mean, mostly as a student, we would search for full scholarship conferences or at
Yeah.
least 50-60%, depending on what kind of conference it is. But most of the conferences were fully paid, and there are a lot of options like that. So I would say that even if your finances are tight, you should search for. There are a lot of good conferences where you don't have to pay anything. They will cover all the expenses for you.
So there is no any fully funded MUN conferences, right?
There are some conferences which are fully funded. I mean, some MUNs I know are fully funded, like the one I told you. This is also an annual conference. I also applied for New York MUN, and I got accepted, but I didn't have any scholarship. But I was still willing to come to that conference, and it happened at the same time that I got HPR conference acceptance. It was at the end of February, and the MUN was at the beginning of March. So I kind of opted for the HPR. So yeah.
That's interesting because you have been accepted even to HPR conference and also to New York MUN. What did you do so that they gave you an acceptance in different conferences? What you should look very close attention to during your application to the conferences?
I think your motivational letter plays a good role for conferences. Because like they want to see you, your personality, right? And you should know what they're expecting. Like I wouldn't say that everything that I wrote probably comes from me, from myself, like my personality. I would say that I was pretty interested in reading a lot of essays before I started applying for different conferences. Like I would read, I would Google like a lot of different essays that got accepted to universities, and then all of that kind of formed my background, how to write and what to write in essays. So yeah.
Can you share some tips about writing the motivational letters yourself, like some tips?
Some tips. Depends. You might include some humor, maybe, in your essays, or you might try to catch the attention of the user. I mean, of the reader. Um, I don't know. Nothing in particular is coming to my mind right now, but yeah, probably you should try to make your essay interesting to read. Like not just your story. Your story should be interesting, kind of. Yeah.
So you should be like an author in the books, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
when you start reading the book, the reader can catch your attention with different ways, like with a humor, with a question, with a exclamation, or anything like that. And the same works with motivational letters, right? And it takes a lot of self-time, self-work, so that your motivational letter at the end becomes very like a novel book, almost like a novel book where you gave your heart in it, you gave your soul in it, right? You've shared all that you had in your soul, in your bottom of your heart, and that time your motivational letter becomes really motivated. I mean, like inspiring letter where you can motivate or inspire even the admission officers. And that's why I keep telling my students to read a lot of books, in English, whether in Russian, but it should be books. You have to know how to make a story out of your life, even from different small parts of your life.
Yeah.
Everyone has their story. Even if you had a very great life with no any problems in your life, but you could still share something from your life. And that is very important for the motivational letter.
Yeah, I would say that you need to be a little dramatic about what you're writing. It might seem like nothing to you in life, but you make a point, right? So I would say that you might need to be a little dramatic about the situations, a little dramatic about what you're writing. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like about Americans, right? Americans, even in their movies, share their emotions and about their life. Even if the problem was not that very, I mean, challenging, that they would have making it so challenging that you would sit and cry with all the emotions, and at the end it's happy ending, right? And the motivational letter should be almost the same. Like in the beginning there is a hook, and there you should describe all the story with all these emotions, tears, and in the end you are happy and with all these goals and plans about your future life and so on. Yeah, it's really
But then I think like practice is the best thing. Like you apply for conferences, you always write motivational letters, right? And until you come to your like master's application, you're ready. You know how to impress people already. You know what they are looking for. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When you have tried several times to write the motivation letter, the graduate application would not be the first time you're writing the application, the motivational letter. And there are students, you can ask some questions here if you are ready. You can type your questions in the chat, in the typing box, so that we could read your questions and answer to them. And I have some other questions that are very interesting for students. Nazima, are you here? Where is it? She's coming back, so. Hello?
Sorry, my computer turned off.
Yeah, it happens. And I have some other questions as well. These are almost the last questions, and I've asked my students also to type their questions here. And one of the questions would be how to impress the delegates, the organizers of the MUN conferences during the conference.
I mean, most of the students make a mistake. Like they are assigned the country and they only like defend the country's interests. I mean, it's my personal opinion, but when you go to UN, you have to make sure that you have some solution as well. Most of the students kind of support and they disagree because it doesn't go with their country's position, and they forget that the main point is like finding a solution. And the ones who find a solution, even if it's from the perspective of your country, right? You don't need to make it very big and pronounced that it's your country's position, but it's still a solution that might work out for this problem. I think then you can start like uniting people around you. They look for leadership, right? In those kind of conferences, someone who can unite everyone, not just side with one or another country. So you guys have to make sure that you have some solutions prepared. Like there are some solutions which are ready, like which were proposed, and many people don't research them. They only research their own country. I mean, the country they were assigned to, and what's the position of that country right now. And they don't go deep into what kind of solutions were proposed, because before these questions were put into MUN, they were already discussed within UN itself mostly. So yeah, I think there are a lot of solutions available. They might not be the ones that everyone agreed on, but guys should, I mean, students should try to make sure that there are some solutions that might work out. At least they can unite everyone to come to writing the resolution.
Yeah, exactly. And so that what you mean is that you don't have to only defend the country, but you have to also give the solution and make a lot of research about your country, not only your country, but the problem itself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Okay, and there is a question from my students. I'll read the question here. There is one question. Hello, everybody. Nazima, you said that your analytical writing band in GRE was quite good. Could you please remember your score from writing? Thank you.
I don't exactly remember writing score because I don't remember it. Let me just quickly.
And there is also a question about MUN, how to get the best points from the delegates so that you will be recognized and given the certificate.
I mean, I don't think only one question can make you, recognizable. You have to be very active during the discussions. If you're active, for you to be active, you should know many things about the topic, about those who are participating. So that's why you have to make your own research, and not only the country, because everyone researches their own country and they know what the position the country is has. So you have to try to look into issue and what kind of solutions have been proposed by UN or maybe by some researchers, I don't know. And you should have that proof ready. And like if you're active within the conference and you say some things that make sense for everyone, then I think you will be recognized.
Yeah, great. And there is some question about the motivational letters. What is the best way to answer the questions in the MUN application? What's your goal in participating in the UN, and what you can do to help people in participating in the UN, and exactly why do we have to accept you into the MUN?
I mean, I would say that the answers to these questions would probably be pretty similar from most of the candidates. But you really have to tell what your goal is. I mean, except for having that in your resume, that you're interested in trying out the roles of a country. If you're interested in politics, for example, you have to write about the fact that you're interested in that, and MUN might help in understanding that much better. Because once you're in that atmosphere, you really feel how hard it is to like agree with someone when you have different interests. And yeah, so I think there is no one universal answer to this question. You gotta try to write what makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. About that question, we'll work more deeply with my students because they haven't learned about how to write the motivational letters yet. And I think in the future, they're going to be very good specialists about writing the motivational letter. And one of the other questions about from my students who are applying to master's degrees and for PhD degrees, and from myself as well, we did not have an opportunity to participate in the conferences or any international conferences before while we were in the bachelor's degree, but now it turns out that we are out of the league. I mean, like we are 25 plus, and we are not eligible to apply to MUN conferences, and that makes us very sad. Can you recommend us any other alternatives of MUN so that we could also apply as an adult ones, for example?
I mean, conferences are needed. If you don't have work experience, then you should have something, right? And that would probably cover for MUNs and for the conferences. But there are a lot of, I don't exactly know because I haven't researched whether there are conferences for 25 plus, because right now I'm also 25 and plus probably. And I don't know exactly, but if you have good work experience, I think that would be enough too. So yeah, it's not exactly how many, it's how qualitative probably. So what's the quality of the things that you're doing? If your job is qualitative, and then your managers, or your director, whoever you're working for, can give you a good reference, that should work too.
Okay, thank you so much. These were almost all the questions that I had. Guys, if you have any questions, please share your questions right now because we are out of time already. Jawahar, Asila, who else? Mahmoud, who have already participated in the MUNs, please ask your questions right now because we are running out of time, and I think you're also busy, and Jasmina as well. Do you have any other questions left? Please share us here. Thank you so much, Nazima, for your participation. It was really informative and it was really helpful for all of us because all of my students have no idea about how to apply, and most of my students want to apply to Ivy League universities, and they have some how to say, different imagination about this university because they have seen it only in the movies and only in the YouTube channels and all that, and they have seen only the parties there, some fun stuff, but they don't know exactly what it is to study in the US Ivy League university. It's really hard and very challenging job, and I have seen even students who were very depressed and who had panic attacks during the studies because it was really challenging. It took them no sleep nights, only living their lives in the library and so on, out of social life. And I think it's really challenging for those who have studied in the typical Uzbek universities or any other, even our international universities. It's kind of very different, it's so different from studying here and from studying in the US, right?
I would say here it won't stop being challenging either if you enter the Ivy League.
Exactly, because I've studied in Uzbek University before. I mean, in Tashkent University of Information and Technologies, and the language of education was in Uzbek. But when I went to Global URAT exchange program as a finalist in the Grand Valley State University, it was so challenging for me to understand the professor's language, because he spoke in Native American language, and he didn't recognize that there were some international students who just came from Uzbekistan, and they don't know what's happening here. It was really, really challenging for me, and I know what they mean when they say it's challenging. I mean, it's really, really challenging, and you have to take all your time only spending your time reading books, doing the assignments, writing the paperwork, and the assignments don't really stop coming. They keep coming until the end of the semester, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's quite challenging.
Okay, there's one question in Uzbek. I'll try to translate it into English. She wants to she wants to participate in the MU1 conference, which is located in Namangan. She is asking if this conference will be I mean,
You don't need to translate,
will
I
impact her
understand.
profile. Yeah. Will impact her profile, or yeah. you can
O'zbek
answer.
tilida yozganlar uchun o'zbek tilida javob beraman. Uzr, xato gapirsam o'zbek tilida profaylingizga qo'shsangiz bo'ladi. Qaysi konferensiyada qatnashsangiz ham o'shani qo'shsangiz bo'ladi. Chunki bu sizning experiences baribir. Namanganda bo'ladimi yoki xalqaro bo'ladimi, baribir bu sizning experiences. Agar rezyumengizda boshqa bo'lmasa, например, xalqaro nimalar bo'lmasa, why not? Nimaga qo'shmasligingiz kerak? This is also your experience. O'sha uchun qaysi nimaga borsangiz ham, konferensga borsangiz, uni rezyumengizga qo'ysangiz bo'ladi.
That's great. Thank you for your answer. And there is one more question. Recently, she heard that it's better to be in a sponsor list in a resolution paper than be in signature. What do you think about it? Thank you for you in advance.
I mean, you can be in a sponsor list if your country is able to sponsor it, right? So it depends on which country you were assigned to. But I'm not sure. I haven't heard about this particularities that it's better to be in sponsor rather than signature or the other way around. But it mostly depends on the country. If you are assigned a developed country, like those leading countries, then you'd probably go for the sponsor if that goes right with your country's position right now. But if not, then signature probably would be too good too.
Okay, nice. Guys, does anyone have any other questions left? Please type as soon as you can. And you have 2 years to study in Columbia University, right? How is it going? Is there any campus life? Can you share some campus life experience there?
I don't have much to share about campus life right now because I'm back and forth all the time. But I would say that first semester is quite stressful because you have to keep up with all their standards, all their educational expectations. So first semester is pretty stressful. I think I might start not see more joy from second semester, but right now, I mean, once in first semester was quite stressful. There was a lot to do.
Yeah, I understand. Because very first semester, and especially the first year, is gonna be like adaptation for the whole education itself. And after the first semester, the second semester is going to be much easier, and the third is going to be even more easier. And at the end, when you're just ready to study whole your life, it's going to be ending.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's right.
Do you have to do your paperwork to complete your studies?
Yeah, most of the things are online, and you have to complete, like, there are different types of assignments that you have to be doing throughout the semester.
I see. That's really interesting. And so right now you're studying in a hybrid format, right? You go 2 weeks in.
Yeah, I do hybrid right now.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Nozima, thank you so much for your time. It was very, very valuable information for us all. There is also one question left. It's strict deadlines in Colombia. Is it hard?
Yeah, not only in Colombia, at all universities in US, there is a strict deadline. You have to stick to the deadline. There is no other way.
Yeah, there is no like tradition Uzbek and so on. You have to be very strict, and you have to apply all your assignments on time. Even I noticed that American students keep to come to the classes very early on. I mean, when I came to the classes just on time, they would come like in time, 10 minutes earlier or 15 minutes earlier, and they were never late. And I was like, wow, this is really like a culture shock for me, because for our mentality, we are okay to be late for like 20 minutes to even the party or even to the class, and nobody says anything. But if you're late to the classes in the US, you have to say sorry for that. You have to give an excuse for that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And there is one more question. I have an out of topic question. I have 2 gap years. Do you know any student who has gap year in your experience for bachelor's?
I mean, what exactly the question is related to? Like, gap year is fine if you have 2 years. And you mean what it affects at the end of the day? I don't think it affects anything as long as you finish graduate from your university. It's fine if you take a gap.
He studied in the school for 11 years, and after that he took 2 gap years. He didn't study at all anywhere, or even if he studied, he doesn't want to mention it in the university application. And he is really nervous about if these 2 years can impact him in a negative way, because he chose to do nothing, almost nothing during these 2 years.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't need to mention. If you don't want to mention, you don't need to mention the gap year. Fine.
And I also say that gap year is your decision, and it's okay in the US to take gap years. They do not require you to study right away after your classes when their classes are finished. You can take your gap year. You can take your time to think and reflect your desires and emotions and all your plans in the future, right?
Yeah, right.
And I think we are here to end our webinar. Thank you so much again. If you have any questions to me, you can ask right now. And I was really pleased to see you all the way from all these oceans and all this distance and all these time difference. You were really, really kind to me and to my students to give your time and share your experience.
Sure. Thank you guys for inviting me. It was really nice talking with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
very helpful.
Thank you so much, Nozima. See you soon. I will share you my
Sure.
channel and everything so that, oh, she's left. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here, and share your comments here, and I would be very pleased to know about your reflections, about your ideas, how the webinar itself went. Thank you so much. See you all in on Wednesday, right? Bye. See you.